If you're like most men, you're probably doing your evening routine completely wrong, which is setting your day up for failure and keeping you in a negative downward cycle. That's why in this video, I'm gonna help you create a simple evening routine, which will set your night up for success and keep you in a positive upward cycle. Now, you're probably wondering why you even need an evening routine, and if having one really even makes a difference. I used to think the exact same thing. I would do whatever I wanted each evening. Yet every single evening, I'd continually go to sleep tired and wake up tired. Honestly, I had no motivation, I had no drive, and I really had no reason for doing what I was doing. And I didn't know why. Until I started paying attention to the invisible daily habits that were destroying my drive and causing me to feel the way I did all the time. That's when I discovered the importance of building a conscious evening routine, bro. I realized that we all have evening routines whether we know it or not, in the form of habits. For most of us, these habits are unconscious. And because they're unconscious, we end up doing them every single day over and over and over again. Which means that if you are unconsciously doing habits that are negatively affecting you every single day, what do you think is gonna happen to you every single day? You're gonna feel bad. And you're not even gonna know why. Once I realized this, I saw how important habits are, and I learned how habits are formed, which is actually really simple. It's just repetition. When you do something over and over and over again, you naturally start to do it more and more. Think about the way you speak, the way you think, the things you do each day, the activities you naturally gravitate towards. These are all habits that were formed in the past from you doing them over and over again, repeatedly, that now unconsciously influence you every single day. So, going back to evening routines, if you have an unconscious evening routine with a bunch of habits that are negatively affecting you, it's actually very obvious why you feel the way you do. You want to think of your evening routine as really a bunch of habits usually done in sequence. Think of them as a ritual of sorts. When you can really recognize this, you're going to see why it's so important to actually build a conscious evening routine that works for you instead of against you. Because like it or not, you will always have an evening routine. The only real choice you have here is whether you want to build it or you want to let your programming build it for you. Because if you do actually choose to consciously build your evening routine, you'll feel a lot happier and a lot more fulfilled. Imagine that you really did have a good evening routine, one that allowed you to connect with yourself, to relax, to reflect, to do activities you love, and to also set tomorrow up for success in the present. That's what a good evening routine is gonna do for you. And me personally, since creating a conscious evening routine, I almost always end up enjoying my evenings, which leads me to feeling energized and happy by the time I go to sleep, which automatically allows me to wake up feeling great and excited for the day. When I first implemented this, just this simple change allowed me to take back control of my life. And you can do the same thing, bro. Fortunately for you, building an evening routine that helps you take back control of your life is actually pretty simple once you know what you want. Because the truth is, the evening routine that works for me might not necessarily work for you. But before you can build your evening routine, you have to first recognize what you don't want. And you're gonna do this by identifying your current evening routine, the one that's unconscious, the routine that's been holding you back. Because like I mentioned before, what you're currently doing in your evening routine is the reason why you are exactly where you are today. That's why before you even implement your new conscious evening routine, you need to first identify all the unconscious habits you're doing in your current one and recognize the negative effects they're having in your life. Up until now, your old unconscious evening routine has been running basically on autopilot. And if you're watching this video, whatever habits have been running on autopilot obviously aren't giving you the best results. But by identifying and seeing the unconscious habits you do every single day that are keeping you stuck, you can actually learn from them. You can take a bad thing and turn it into an amazing thing by becoming aware of what you're doing and learning from them. I remember that I was doing several negative habits that were basically keeping me in a state of negativity. For one, I never took time to decompress or relax. And I'd usually end up escaping into video games, drugs, entertainment, anything I could get my hands on to just numb the pain of general life. On top of that, by the time the evening came around, I'd often stuff myself with unhealthy junk food and had no real sense of fitness or discipline to do anything. So by the end of the night, I was high on dopamine, but low on actual satisfaction. And that compounding effect over time made me physically and emotionally tired, pretty much all the time. And you might even be going through a similar thing. That's why once you've identified the unconscious habits you've been doing in your evening routine and how they've been keeping you stuck, it's time to do the next step, which is replacing them. By the way, if you're tired of just watching videos and you really do want results, make sure to book a private session with me or sign up for my email list to get my free ebook. You can find both links below. Replacing these unconscious habits that have been holding you back for God knows how long is the exact step that will help you build an amazing conscious evening routine. Also, make sure not to stress over the perfect evening routine. You don't want to get caught in analysis paralysis at this step. There is no perfect routine, and your routine is going to continually change based on what you need out of it throughout your life. I mean, I have been consciously using my evening routine for over a decade now, and I still sometimes change parts of it. So don't worry about being perfect. All you need to do at this stage is just to remember that a good evening routine will allow you to connect with yourself. So you really just want to ask yourself, what would I love to do in my ideal evening routine that would allow me to connect with myself? Keep a note of everything that comes to you after you ask this question. And if you want to take an extra step, do research into other people's evening routines for ideas. Eventually, by doing this, you're going to form an idea of what you would want to do. For some of you, it might be meditation. Others, it might be gaming. Others, it might be journaling. Remember that there's literally no right answer here, bro. Me personally, I like to keep my evening routine simple. In my evening routine, I'll go to the gym, then get back, relax for a bit, and have dinner. After that, I'll brush my teeth, shower, do whatever stuff I need to upkeep my appearance, and then I'll either game for a bit, do some shadow work, or do something creative that I enjoy doing for the rest of the night. Before I go to sleep, I'll usually do a daily review where I just review everything I did throughout the day and look if there's anything I could have done better so I can improve it the next day. The reason this works for me is because I get my fitness in, I get my reflection in, I get my daily upkeep of my appearance in, and I also do things I love while also reviewing my day. This works perfectly for me, so feel free to use it as a guide for your ideal evening routine. Now, once you've got an idea of some activities you'd actually enjoy doing in your evening routine, it's time to put them together and test them out. If you do this, over time, you're gonna find the exact evening routine that complements your life and allows you to take back control. Now, having a conscious evening routine is great, but if you don't have a conscious morning routine as well to complement it, all the work you're doing the night before will most likely be for nothing. That's why your next step is to watch this video where I teach you how to build a conscious morning routine as well.